Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Callum and I work with Jordan over at Calisthenics, where we work on building people's strength and skill with only bodyweight training, and we're also both Vivo Life ambassadors. So today we're going to go through a handstand video for you all. Now to begin with, we'll start with some nice preparation and just trying to understand the positions that our body's going to be moving into as it performs a handstand. From there we'll go through some body positioning. Okay, so we'll go through a variety of little exercises just to really teach you the body tension, the body position involved for a handstand, and then we'll finally go through 8 different steps to get yourself from never ever doing a handstand and then working your way up gradually all the way to be able to actually hold a freestanding handstand. Now obviously that probably isn't going to happen in a day. It may take time to build up, so I'll give you some reference as to how many reps or sets or how much volume, which is like work done in each exercise that is suggested, and then from there you can obviously work at your own level, find the progression that you're best on, and then just gradually work your way through that progression, build up the volume to the recommended amount, and then progress to the next step. Okay, so hopefully this video will act as a guide to sort of take you from, wherever you are now to progressing all the way to actually holding a handstand itself. Okay, so to begin with, we'll get into the prep work. Now the first exercise I want to show you is a wall overhead screen. And this is probably one of the most important things I can show you, because it's going to tell us if we've got the actual position in our shoulders to be able to get into a straight handstand line. So we're going to begin with our knees slightly bent, okay, with the feet about 6 inches in front of the wall. From there we're going to create what's called posterior pelvic tilt, and that's going to flatten the lower back completely to the wall. We're then going to flatten the head to the wall as well. So from here, the first position we're trying to establish is a completely flat back to the wall. When we handstand, we want a straight line through our spine, so we're trying to create that straight line. It's not neutral. Neutral is actually slightly extended at the lumbar and slightly flexed at the thoracic. It's actually completely flat. Okay, it's completely flat to the wall. That's what we want for a handstand. From here, the thumbs are going to face forwards. The arms are going to be straight. Okay, we want to try and keep our arms at shoulder width. From there, keeping the arms straight, keeping the thumbs forwards, we want to try and see if we can lift all the way overhead and touch our thumbs to the wall, keeping the back flat, and then control down. The spine should stay completely flat, the head should stay flat to the wall, arms straight and at shoulder width, and this should feel like quite a smooth movement for you guys. I'll show you from the side. So back completely flat, control down. Again, it should feel pretty smooth. Okay, because handstands do require a lot of range of motion. In most cases, they'll just get people to touch the thumbs, but for handstands, sometimes we'll actually get people to see if they can touch the fingers to the wall, which adds a few inches, makes it a little bit harder. But can you, as you do this, guys, keep them arms straight, keep them at shoulder width, and can you keep that back completely flat to the wall? Okay? So if you're not able to perform that, then it may be that pec tightness, lat tightness, or stiffness in the thoracic spine, which is causing you to kind of curl forwards or only be able to arch the back and get overhead. Okay, if any of them 3 issues are arising, then it may be worth doing some release work for them areas. Okay, some foam rolling, some stretching, some dynamic mobility work for them 3 areas. Whichever one feels like the limitation is going to be really beneficial to help you get there. Okay, I would actually suggest before you actually spend upside down in a handstand, you are able to perform that movement. Okay, because if not, you're going to be compensating in some way, and you're going to be teaching your brain, your body a bad habit, which is very hard to break once you get into the harder variations of the handstand. Okay, so the next preparation exercise we'll go through is just going to be for the wrists. Now obviously we're holding our whole body weight on our wrists, which is quite a lot of weight. If you've ever tried to press your body weight overhead with a barbell, it's just not easy. Okay, so from here we'll just start with the fingers facing backwards. Okay, and we're just going to rock backwards and forwards from here. Keeping the palms flat to the floor. We can shift from side to side, we can go forwards and backwards. From then turn the hands forwards. And again, rock forwards, and as we rock back, try and lift the hands up. Rock forwards, as we rock back, lift the hands up. Okay, it wants to be comfortable, guys. It wants to be a pain-free range of motion. You might feel a bit of a stretch around the forearms or in the back of the forearms, but you shouldn't feel like it's there's any pinching going on in the front. If there is pinching going in the front, just go easy on it. And you may find that wrapping a band around something behind you and pulling that into the wrist, into the base of the wrist, is quite useful to avoid that pinching. Okay, from there we're just going to do what's called knuckle lifts. So we spread the fingers. We want to have the first finger forwards, just like in a handstand as well. First finger forwards, lift onto the knuckles, control down. This is helping warm the forearms up, get the wrists prepared for some of the loading. And then hold the last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give it a shake off. Okay, from there, if you just clasp the fingers together, we just perform a few wrist snakes. And then other way around. And again, shake it off. Okay, the wrist should feel good now. Obviously, you want to warm the wrists up, you want to get them moving, you want to get them mobile, but you don't want to be putting loads of load through them before you start. Okay, because obviously there's enough load in them in the handstands, so just try and get them moving, get them into these different positions, get the forearms a little bit pumped up. Okay, ready for holding that handstand, but try not to put too much load through them. Okay, the next exercise is going to be starting in this lunge position here. So we're just looking for a nice box, okay, we're just looking for a nice 90-degree angle at the front leg and at the back leg as well. Okay, so beneath the hip with the knee, and then beneath the foot with the beneath the foot from the knee as well on the front leg. From here, again, we want to create that posterior pelvic tilt. So what we're essentially trying to do is flatten that lower back. Okay, and then already there, as soon as we flatten that lower back, we should feel a bit of a stretch through the hip flexor. And then we need to lift your arms overhead. Okay, we'll try and really reach them shoulders up towards the sky. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slide the left leg forwards a little bit. Rock the hips back, keeping the back nice and straight. Just come down as low as you can. If you need to have a couple of boxes here, if you can't quite go as low as me, that's absolutely fine. But ensure we're not rounding, we're keeping that back nice and straight. Again, just trying to work towards keeping the left leg straight as well. It doesn't have to be straight at the moment. You can just build towards getting it straight. 4, 3, 2, 1. Back into the lunge, staying nice and set. Abs are tight, pelvis is tucked under, lower back remains flat by doing that. We then reach them arms up overhead, so we're trying to push our shoulders to the ears. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slide the leg forwards, rock back, keep the back straight. 3, 2, 1. One more time this side. Again, get into our position, abs tight, back flat, bum's gonna get nice and tight. Shoulders push up to the ears. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time, leg forwards, leg straight, back stays flat. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then we swap sides. Okay, so again, we want to try and get that pelvis nice and flat. So we want to try and create that posterior tilt, so the back comes nice and flat rather. And then from there, nice and tall, abs engaged. Reach the shoulders up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten the leg. Hinge the hips back. Straight back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Three, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Final time. Again, abs remain tight, looking for a nice straight line from fingertip to knee. 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so all we're doing there is just hitting a few positions that we might be moving through in today's practice. So obviously in this overhead position, we're looking, in the handstand position, we're looking for a straight line, abs tight, glutes tight, posterior tilt. Okay, and sometimes tight hip flexors, which is what we stretched out a little bit there, can inhibit us from actually getting into that straight line with the posterior tilt. Secondly, working the hamstrings a little bit and posterior chain flexibility. When we kick up to handstand specifically, it can require quite a lot of flexibility at the hip. Okay, so that's just quite a good exercise. It's quite specific to that kick up where we require that flexibility at the hip. Okay, now we'll get into our positions. Okay, I'm going to start with what's called supine alignment, basically lying in a face-up position and working on that straight line. So we're gonna lie on our back. Okay, hopefully you can see me. From here, what we're looking for is just let your arms go overhead and let your limbs lengthen and extend. So try and reach your fingers towards the wall, and in my case, reach my toes towards the door. Okay, from here, what I want to try and do is create a nice flat back. So you'll notice here, you can see my, probably would see my lower back because the t-shirt on, but it's going to go from extended, okay, where it's off the floor. We're just going to try and work on tilting the pelvis, and then also drawing down the ribs, okay, drawing down the upper abdominals, and then what we'll get is we'll get that back going nice and flat to the floor. From this position, try and keep the legs squeezed together, toes pointed, arms nice and straight. If possible, keeping the fingers to the floor. Again, this is going to show us that we've got a good overhead position, and we're just going to hold this position. So we're nice and set through the midline, abs are tight, bum's tight, legs are squeezed together. We're working on that body tension for the handstand. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, so it's quite a tricky one for a lot of people, guys, to flatten that lower back to the floor in that position. But it's essentially if we want to be able to get a straight handstand line. Okay, so if you are struggling with it, a cue that I quite like is if you imagine you've got a bug underneath your back and you're trying to squish the bug. That's not very Vivo, is it? Let's imagine I'm putting my finger underneath there. Okay, I'm trying to squish the finger. Okay, so it's here and we're trying to squish that so that lower back comes completely flat to the floor. Really focus your awareness on that point and try and feel it press into the floor, okay? Especially if you feel like you're really struggling with it. May also be worth, taking a little video, doing it with your sort of shirt up a little bit to see if that back is flat or not. But you do really want to be getting that flat if you want to be able to get a straight handstand, okay? Let's just take it one step further now. So if we're able to do that and we're able to flatten it, it might need some practice, like I say, but if we are, we can go into a hollow position. So from here, once we establish that position, we can lift the arms and legs just a few inches off the floor, and we can hold our hollow position. Again, legs squeezing together, lengthening the arms, gaze to the sky. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then all we do there, guys, is we just take that weight of the legs and the hands, and we just take it off the floor slightly. Okay, it just provides a little bit more resistance for our like rex abdominis muscles, so our kind of ab muscles, if you like. And it just makes it a little bit harder. So once you can do the supine alignment, you may want to just have that little bit of lift, just a few inches with the arms and legs, just to really feel that body tension through here. Okay, good stuff. The next exercise is called prone body tighteners, or prone alignment as well, sometimes we'll call it. So from here, we're just going to flip over essentially and lie on the front instead. Now from here, the first thing we'll try and do is lengthen ourselves as much as possible. So the same principles apply here, guys. We're trying to make ourselves nice and straight. So legs are going to squeeze together, shoulders are going to reach up towards the ears. We're going to extend the wrists. Okay, and we're just going to try and really create a nice posterior tilt. So again, notice how my back goes, or my bum goes from this position to this position. Suck the belly button in, so we actually pull the belly button off the floor, and then try and really reach with them limbs whilst keeping the abs nice and set, keeping the torso nice and engaged. We can hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. So you're almost pushing the armpit and the hips into the floor. Okay, so you're almost like isometrically, so statically pushing the armpits and hips into the floor. Okay, we'll do it again for a 10 count. 10, 9, 8, 7. Legs together, toes pointed. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Again, we're just teaching that body how to create tension, how to create that nice handstand position, that nice handstand shape. One more time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good stuff. Okay, that's the second positioning exercise, and then we'll go into one more, which is going to be our bird dogs. So apologies if you're into this video so far. I know we've not actually got into any handstand yet, but it's a very, very technical move. Okay, it's a lot of people just kind of kick up and go for it, and that's cool, and it's fun, and it's playful, and I don't take that away, and I think it's cool to do. But yeah, if you want to make good progress with it and really get to that point where we've got a nice straight line and we can perform it consistently, then it is quite a lot of technical work, understanding our body, understanding the positions that it needs to move into in order to be able to perform it. So the final exercise I'm going to do for positioning before we get into the handstand progressions is going to be the bird dog. Okay, so from here we're going to try and just keep a neutral spine. Okay, so just neutral. From there, imagine that I'm next to you and I'm pushing you around. I'm pushing you from all sorts of different angles and you're having to resist that push. Okay, what that'll do is that'll get you to stiffen and stabilize through the spine. Okay, that's the first thing I want you to think about doing. So imagine someone's pushing you, can you stiffen and stabilize and stop them from being able to move you? Once that's been established, okay, we're simply going to maintain that stiffness through the spine, lengthen the limbs, and then control them back in. As the knee and the hand comes in, they stay off the floor. We keep that back nice and straight. We keep that stiffness. We'll keep that back neutral, spine neutral. We keep that stiffness, and we extend out again. Just do 5, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 3, 2, 1. And then we'll swap sides. So it's important here that we maintain that neutral spine throughout, even as that knee comes in. We're not sort of curling under, okay? And also we're looking for a nice alignment through the shoulders and the hips, okay? We don't want to see rotation occurring. We don't want to see any sort of bending to the side. If I was looking at you from the front, same with the shoulders, we want to see nice and level, nice and set. The reason why I like this one is as people enter to handstand, sometimes they'll lose that position a little bit and that roll into one side, and obviously makes it very hard to kick up into a handstand. This one teaches the body quite well how to set and align, so when people kick up into handstand, maybe they're able to keep that straight alignment a little bit better, so it's easy for them to actually get into the right position without being, turning to the side or doing a pattern that we don't really want to be doing in order to get a good kick to handstand. So other side, 5 reps. Last one, hold for 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Beautiful. So that is your progressions for the body position. Okay, so we've gone through our preparation. We've now gone through our positioning work. Okay, teaching you what the handstand actually should feel like and what sort of positions we want to get into. Now we'll go through the progressions. Now, the first thing I'll do with people, so as I said, we're going to go through 8 different progressions, and the idea is if you're on one, work on that one until you hit the volume recommendation that I'll give, and then obviously move on to the next one. Okay, and you can gradually build your way up to 8th step, which is obviously our freestanding handstand, right? So this first one's just going to be a high plank. So arms straight, plank position, legs together, and I want to be able to hold it for 2 minutes. Handstand's hard, it's a lot of load on our wrists. Okay, it's a lot of focus, it's a lot of concentration. As we get fatigued, we have to be able to keep our position. So the high plank I find is a very good starting point for people. You might not be able to do it for 2 minutes now, but if you can, it won't take you too long to build up towards doing it for 2 minutes. So I'll set a timer and we'll go for a 2-minute hold in this high plank. Okay, so the cues that we're looking for are going to be the wrists, the fingers should be forwards, okay, the wrist should be directly underneath the shoulders, the legs should be together, and we should be in that nice straight line, okay, through the pelvis. So we're not sagging at the hips, we're not pushed up here, the pelvis is tucked under, okay, bum squeezed, arms are straight, and we're holding this position here, okay. So we're going to go for 2 minutes, try and keep that good shape throughout, and that's going to give us a good identification that we can actually keep that good shape when we're upside down as well. 3, 2, 1, let's have it. Okay, so try and keep them biceps forwards throughout this one. I'll keep the shoulder in a strong position. And again, keep that load through the abs. If you feel like it goes into the lower back, then it's likely that you're extending. Try and keep that pelvic tilt, keep the bum squeezed, keep the abs tight, so your pressure feels like your pressure's through your abs. The other thing about having a timer on my watch is I can't really see it. Okay, that's 40 seconds down. halfway there. If you feel like you lose your position, feel free to stop. It's a 1 minute, it's a 2 minute hold with good positioning. Okay, we're trying to teach the body the correct positioning for the handstand, the correct tension for the handstand. Seconds. And that's time. Good job, guys. So likely now you'll be a little bit tired if you did get 2 minutes with good form. If you didn't get 2 minutes with good form, this is what I want you to work on. Okay, if you did get it, you'll be a little bit tired. So feel free to pause the video, take a little breather, 3 minutes, probably about right, have a little drink, and then come back to step 2. So step 2 is going to be our frog stand. Now what we want to do here is actually get used to loading the body only on the fingers, only on the hands. Okay, so obviously in a handstand, our base support no longer becomes our feet, no longer becomes feet and head in a headstand, it actually becomes just our hands. Okay, so what we want to try and do is this frog stand. This is a good introduction to sort of teach us that, okay, we actually do have the strength to balance ourselves on just our hands. So it should feel like more of a balance than a strength move really, okay, as long as your wrists feel good. Shouldn't feel like it's loads of work in the shoulders just because of the position that we get into. So we want our first fingers to be forwards. Okay, so we've got that nice handstand position. We then want to try and squeeze our fingers into the floor. That's going to pre-engage the forearm muscles, and that's going to help us start to stabilize a little bit through them hands and forearms. From here, we want to try and create a shelf between our elbows, or our legs and our arms basically. So we want to be pushing our elbows out against the inside of our knees while simultaneously pushing our knees in against the outside of the elbow. Okay, once we've established that, we can just start to rock until we feel a little bit weightless. Once we feel more weights in the hands, we can just gently take the feet off the floor. Okay, and that's your frog stand. So in terms of how much volume, I'd like to be able to hold that for 30 seconds before progressing to step 3. Okay, and in terms of working on it, so some people might find that they want to have a pillow down in front of the head because you might end up falling and overbalancing a little bit, landing on your head. Okay, and especially if you don't feel like you've got the confidence, you feel like you're kind of just getting nowhere, just not even getting the lift, stick a pillow down there and maybe just get used to just letting yourself fall onto that pillow a little bit. Okay, make sure it's nice and soft so you're safe, but sometimes that kind of fear aspect of falling on the head can limit you from actually getting into the balanced position. Balance is somewhere between the overbalancing, where you fall on your head, and going back to your feet. It's somewhere between there. And all balancing really is keeping our centre of mass, okay, which is somewhere around the belly button usually for most people, between our base of support, which in the case of this movement is somewhere between our kind of knuckles and thumb. So it's just like a game. It's like you've got this centre of mass here, and then you've got this base support here, and we're just trying to keep that little, can we keep it in there? And obviously we have to explore a little bit in order to find that balance point. Okay, so if you're just falling back to your feet all the time, it might be worth experimenting with going a little bit further forwards and maybe falling your head a few times with a pillow down. That's step 2, again 30 seconds, then progress to step 3. Step 3 is going to be the pike hold. Now, one of the reasons why we did a bit of hamstring work at the start, a little bit of hamstring flexibility work at the start, is because this one can be quite an issue for a lot of people. So in terms of their range of motion in the hamstrings and the posterior chain, it can mean that they struggle to get into a good position here. So all you're going to need is like a chair or sofa. From there, you're simply going to put your feet on top of it, and if possible, we'll try and have the feet together and the legs straight. What we want to try and do is stack the shoulders underneath the hips.
Shoulders push up to the ears. Lengthen through the spine. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's what it should look like. However, I do understand that to begin with, some of you may struggle a little bit again with that flexibility through the posterior chain. So if you're on something quite low, it will make it a little bit harder because you'll close that angle of flexion of the hip a bit more. So it might be worth trying to find something a little bit higher, okay? But also what I will let you do is bend the knees a little bit as well, okay? So if you've got a sofa, you can put the legs a little bit wider, and that will first of all make it a bit easier. You can also let the knees bend a little bit, okay? As long as our intention is to try and create a straight line from hand to hip, okay, then that's good. If we can achieve that, even if the legs are slightly bent, then we're doing good here and we're loading our shoulders and our wrists in the correct way, okay? So I'll show you what that second modification looks like. And just ensure when you're in this position, guys, again, you're pushing them shoulders up towards the ears and you're trying to keep that nice open shoulder position so it should look like a completely straight line, okay? Kind of like an L shape, like an upside down L. So we can have the feet on, we can bend the knees, and again we can focus on stacking the hips above the shoulders with bent legs. Okay, so obviously I'd rather you be able to do it with straight legs, and that's something to build towards. But if necessary, you can always just do it with the legs slightly bent. To open the shoulders the way we want to, you almost have to push your sternum towards the chair a little bit. Okay, it's a difficult movement because again, if you tighten your posterior chain, it'll kind of want to spring you out of there. So you've got to put quite a lot of force through the abs into opening them shoulders, okay, and pulling that sternum slightly towards the chair, okay, to create that nice straight line. Quite a hard one to sort of visualize, so definitely best to maybe look at it in a mirror or record a video of yourself and look back at it for feedback. But yeah, good exercise, hard exercise. This one I'd like to build towards doing it for 30 seconds. If it looks like an upside down L, you're doing good, okay? So 30 seconds in one set on this one. That then brings us to progression number 4, and now we're actually going to be getting upside down in a handstand, okay, against the wall. So once you've done your pike hold, I feel that you're now ready to start to work yourself onto the wall. So we're going to be performing chest to wall handstand, okay, and just working our way up as much as we can. The end goal is to be able to get the hands pretty close to the wall, within about 3 inches, and hold it there for 60 seconds. Now the cues that you want to perform here is, again, we want to be shrugging them shoulders up to the ears, keeping them arms nice and straight. Right guys, so before we get on to progression 4, which is your chest to wall handstand, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to move the next set of progressions into part 2 of this video, so it doesn't end up being too long and boring. Okay, just to reiterate, remember that we've obviously gone through the preparation, we've gone through the specific shape work, which is something that you'll perform before you do any handstand practice, and then from there the progressions that we're going through here, guys, are for you to go through and find the progression that you're on. Work towards the volume that I've suggested. Once you can hit that volume with good form, you then move on to the next progression. Okay guys, so I wouldn't suggest going through and following this video along as it is. I'd suggest find the progression that you're on, looking at the cues that I discuss, looking at the form that I show you, working towards the volume that I've suggested, and then once you can hit that consistently, then you move on to the next progression. Okay, that might take you weeks, it might take you months, it might even take you years, but overall, you know, you'll hopefully enjoy the process and again learn a lot about yourself in the meantime. So yeah, we'll get into part 2 now, and we'll get into progression 5, 6, 7 and 8.